Sometimes the hardest nights are the ones when you expect happiness and end up facing loneliness instead. And sometimes, just when you think the world has turned its back on you, kindness walks right up, takes your hand, and changes everything. This is the story of a woman who thought Christmas Eve would break her heart, until a little girl, bundled in a pink coat and wearing light-up snow boots, wandered up to her lonely table and said, "Excuse me, can we join you?" And from that small moment, a chain of kindness began that none of them could have expected. Before we start, if you love emotional, inspiring stories about real human kindness, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment. It truly helps the channel grow. Welcome to Kindness Tales. Emily Parker had always loved Christmas. Not the gifts, not the glittering store windows, not the snowy postcards everyone mailed out. What she loved most was the feeling. People smiling more, strangers holding doors, neighbors leaving cookies at each other's doors. But this year was different. It was her first Christmas after a painful breakup, and even though she tried to act strong, her heart felt like it had heavy strings pulling it down. Her best friend Megan insisted she try a blind date. "You need to get out," she had said, "just dinner, no pressure." And so Emily agreed. She put on her nicest winter dress, curled her hair, and even wore the red coat she usually saved for special occasions. The restaurant was warm, filled with Christmas lights that hung low like soft stars. But her date never walked in. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then 40. She tried to smile at the waiter who kept asking if she wanted to order, but her cheeks were growing stiff from pretending she was fine. Finally, she whispered, "Maybe just some hot chocolate." As she stirred the whipped cream into her mug, she felt that familiar sting rise behind her eyes, the one that warned tears were coming whether she wanted them or... She lowered her head, took a shaky breath, and silently prayed for the night to just end. Across the restaurant, however, someone else noticed her. A man in his mid-30s sat at a small table with a little girl about 7 years old. The girl's hair was in two fluffy pigtails, tied with tiny red ribbons. She was coloring a picture of a snowman on the kids' menu, humming softly to herself. Her father, James, glanced up as Emily wiped her eyes. He felt a tug in his chest, a recognition of loneliness. He knew that feeling well. It had been 2 years since his wife passed, and Christmas was the hardest holiday to navigate as a single parent. He didn't want to intrude. He didn't want to make things worse for the stranger across the room. But children don't carry those kinds of hesitations. "Daddy," the little girl whispered, following his gaze. "Why is she sad?" "I'm not sure, sweetheart," he murmured. "Maybe she's just having a hard night." The girl squinted thoughtfully, then slid off her chair. "Where are you going?" James asked quickly, to give her a smile. "Sweetheart, you can't just..." But she was already marching away, her light-up boots blinking red and blue with every step. Emily looked up when she heard the tiny voice. "Hi," the little girl said cheerfully. Can we join you?" The words were so unexpected that Emily blinked twice before she could respond. Are you sure?" she asked. The girl nodded eagerly. "You look lonely. Daddy says nobody should be lonely on Christmas Eve." Emily felt something inside her soften, something warm and fragile. "Well, I'd love some company," she said with a gentle smile. James hurried over, apologizing. "I'm so sorry. She has a big heart." Emily shook her head. "Please, really, I'd appreciate the company." He hesitated, then pulled out a chair. "Only if you're sure." "I'm sure," she said, and meant it. They sat together, and for the first few moments nobody spoke. The girl, whose name was Lily, climbed into the seat beside Emily and proudly showed her the snowman she'd been coloring. "He's wearing a scarf because Daddy says it's cold enough to freeze your nose off," Lily said dramatically. Emily laughed, a real, genuine laugh that surprised even her. James relaxed a little at the sound. Soon, the waiter brought extra menus, smiling at the unexpected group. "Looks like we're adding more guests to your table?" "I guess we are," Emily replied, her cheeks a little pink. But this time, she was smiling for real. They ordered food, they talked, they shared stories, light ones at first, then deeper ones. Emily learned that James worked as a firefighter, and that Lily wanted to be a doctor firefighter because she couldn't decide which one sounded cooler. James learned that Emily was a teacher, that she loved reading Christmas stories to her students, and that tonight was supposed to be a blind date. She didn't hide it because somehow sitting with these two felt safe. When she told them the guy never showed, Lily gasped loudly. "He should go to timeout," she declared. Emily burst out laughing again, and James smiled sheepishly. I agree with her. There was something so comforting, so unexpectedly warm about the way this father and daughter simply included her, as if kindness was the most natural language they spoke. Halfway through dinner, the restaurant dimmed the lights as a small group of carolers walked in, singing Silent Night. Lily grabbed both their hands, swinging them gently as she sang along in her tiny voice. Emily felt her chest tighten, not with sadness this time, but with something like gratitude. A few hours ago, she had sat alone, convinced that Christmas Eve would be another memory she wished she could erase. Now she was holding hands with a child she'd just met, laughing with a man who felt strangely familiar, like someone she had known in another life. When dinner ended, Lily tugged on Emily's coat sleeve. "Do you want to see the Christmas tree outside? With us? It has lights that blink in rainbow colors." Emily looked at James, unsure if she was intruding, but he nodded. "You're welcome to join us, really." Outside, the snow had started falling in soft, lazy flakes. The huge tree in the town square glowed with thousands of lights. People took pictures. Kids ran around making footprints in the snow. Lily ran ahead, spinning with her arms out. James and Emily walked slower, side by side. "I hope we didn't interrupt your plans," he said softly. Emily shook her head. "You saved my night." "You saved ours too," he admitted. They watched Lily race around the tree, laughing loudly at her own footprints. "She doesn't talk to many people," James said quietly. "Not since her mom passed. Tonight," she opened up, "you helped with that." Emily turned to him, touched. "I'm glad." They stood together in the falling snow until Lily came running back, breathless. "Daddy, Emily, look, snow angels." And so they made snow angels together, lying on their backs, the snow melting into their coats, Christmas lights glowing above them like distant stars. Emily closed her eyes, feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope, connection, warmth. When it was time to say goodbye, Lily threw her arms around Emily's waist. "Can we see you again?" she asked, her voice small but sincere. Emily glanced at James, and he met her eyes with a shy smile. "I'd like that," he said. Emily felt her cheeks warm despite the cold. "I'd like that too." They exchanged numbers, and as Emily walked to her car, the snow crunching beneath her boots, she realized that the night she expected to break her heart had somehow repaired it. Not because of romance, though. Maybe that would come in time. But because of kindness. Because a little girl with light-up boots had walked up and said, "Can we join you?" And that courage, that simple act of noticing someone else's pain, had changed everything. Kindness doesn't always arrive wrapped like a present or planned like a perfect holiday moment. Sometimes it arrives in the form of a child who refuses to ignore someone else's sadness. Sometimes it arrives in the form of unexpected company, a warm smile, or the courage to sit beside a stranger. And sometimes, kindness doesn't just brighten a night, it changes a life. So this Christmas season, may we all look around a little more, notice a little more, reach out a little more. Because one small act of kindness might be the miracle someone is waiting for. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to Kindness Tales for more heartwarming stories that remind us how good the world can be. Let's spread kindness, one story at a time.